Okay, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome everyone to our new Tanya share, which is Tanya Outside In. We just completed a year-long project of Tanya Inside Out, which you could drush it either way, but Inside Out meant that I gave shirim without the text. It was outside, the inside out. This time it's outside in, yeah, which means we're giving the shir inside the text. So this is going to be, I don't know if you could call it less geschmack. I don't know what, I don't think we couldn't call it less geschmack, but it's a different kind of shir. And it's not going to lend itself to driving in the car and listening as well. I understand that might have to be the situation, but it's definitely, you're definitely going to want to really be sitting at a desk with the safer in front of you. And I'd recommend having a pen. If you could get your hands on a red pen, yeah, I found like a very thin red thin liner pen. We're not going to be touching the safer too much today, but when we do, to have access to a very fine red pen, I found will be helpful if you want to annotate the Tanya. And what I'm going to suggest is using the shirim that we recorded from the last from the inside out that's on the website. I'm actually going to put out, just give me a minute. I'm going to give you a couple of links here. This link is to the Spotify of all the classes from the outside in share. Okay. This one is, so the inside out, I mean, this one is the Google Drive to that same thing. So you've got all this, that in that class we went through, I've created hundreds of pages of notes. So each class has got, between 3 and half a dozen pages of notes that go with the class. And then this is another link that I'll give you as well, which is on our website, on the B'nai Aliyah website, which is again the same class. I've just basically given you links to everything to do with the inside out. What my suggestion will be, if anybody wants that, we've said this many times to people who've been in show in the past, no one can give you Sefer Tanya. No one, impossible. You have to take it yourself. You have to take it yourself. It's a personal project that cannot be given to you. I've put in literally thousands of hours into the Sefer, and I don't regret 1 second, not 1 second. In fact, I wish I'd put more time into the Sefer. The Sefer's like this, it's like a popcorn machine, lahavdil. It's amazing after having spent so many hours in the Sefer and still listening to shirim from my Rebbe, Reb Manis Friedman, that I'd listened to 20, 30, 50 times, and new things coming out the whole time. It's pasha mind-blowing. I'm really not exaggerating. It's really mind-blowing. I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm more excited about Tanya today than I was yesterday. And I was really excited about Tanya yesterday as well. And it's like I've never seen anything like it. Not even close. Not even, and I've learned a lot of the Svarim, and I've never seen anything even remotely close to this book. I always joke, not joke. It's like it's difficult to believe when you get into this Sefer on such a level. It's difficult to believe that it got written by a man. It has to have been divinely inspired, like every letter, basically. That's how it feels. Okay, so my advice, if you do want to take it, if you do want to really make this your project and be kohen of the Sefer, which again, like I said, I think that's a great idea. What you can do is this shir is on Monday. So if on Sunday or the week before, you can listen to the Inside Out class, which you can listen to on the running machine or while you're working or while you're driving, yeah, and then maybe even a couple of times or whatever. And then when you come into the shir, it's going to be a completely different thing. So even more than Chazara, which I recommend 100%, I would recommend Hachona. So again, I know that there's going to be a lot of people who just turn up to the share. That's also okay. But if you do want to get this information inside you as the Eitz Chaim that it's meant to be, then I suggest, I say this a lot, I'm going to say it again, as I mentioned, it's called an Eitz Chaim. Yeah, there's vegetables and there's trees. The way a vegetable works is you put a seed in the ground, the vegetable pops up, you eat the vegetable, and then you put another seed in the ground and you keep going. Okay, that's called inspiration. That's the general way the world works. Yeah, the Rav comes to the shul, he gives an inspired drasha, you're all lit up for like not that long, and then you need another drasha and another external hit of inspiration. Okay, that's like a vegetable. Tanya and any
or drugs.
Or drugs, yeah. Tanya is like an Eitz Chaim. It's a sefer that becomes like an Eitz, meaning a tree keeps putting out Perus every year. So it's not like you have to keep, what you have to do is get the tree, okay? But once the tree's there, it's putting out Perus all the time. We'll start with a very deep idea that everyone's heard of the concept of Chochmah and Bina, yeah? So everyone understands that Chochmah is like the flash of inspiration, it's like the seed, and Bina is like the egg that gives it length and breadth and depth, yeah? The Alter Rebbe in Ageres HaKodesh flips it on its head and reveals an amazing, not that isn't true, but another amazing way of understanding it. It's like this, the way I understand it, is that you put a seed in the ground, yeah? You put a seed in the ground. Now, it's not that the seed grows. The Rebbe says it's that the ground grows through the seed. Within the ground is the koyach for every single plant, every single shrub you see, every tree, every fruit, everything exists within the ground in potential. The seed acts as a kind of filter that basically blocks 99.999% of the potential of the ground and allows just its avocado potential to grow through, or just its esrog potential to grow through. So when you're looking at an esrog tree, really you're seeing not an expression of the seed, you're seeing an expression of the ground. You with me? This is what Tanya is. This is really what Torah Sheba'al Peh is. Leave Tanya for a minute, and we'll explain this. Torah Sheba'al Peh is an or pashut. It's like, we could call it the Rabbanu Shalom. That's what we mean when we say Hashem and His Torah is one. Now, when you're makabel the Torah, yeah, we'll call that Tanya, you'll call that whatever you want to call that right now, yeah. But when you're makabel the Torah, that's an or. As you look at the words of the Sfarim, they act, so to speak, as like a filter. And what will happen is the or that you received from the Torah, which is the Torah, starts to grow through the oisius that your eyes are looking at in the Sefer, or what your eyes are looking at around you, or what your ears are hearing from other people, etc., etc. That's this idea of the tree growing through. That's the idea of this or that we receive. That's the Torah that then grows through the oisius that we look at. Now, this is very different to the way it works in the Goyish world, okay? The secular understanding of learning is I take a book, I take a newspaper, I open up the newspaper, and I read the words. And as I read the words, I extract the meaning, so to speak, I mine the meaning from the words. Yeah? That's not Chiddush. That's like, yeah, what else? What's the other option? Yeah? As I read the words, I extract the meaning from the words. The way the Torah is meant to work is that the Torah Shebichsav is there to extract the meaning from you. From the ore that you were makabel from your Rebbe, that's called Masorah. The Torah Shebichsav, which means the words that you read of the Torah, are meant to extract the meaning from you. Everyone understands how that's completely the opposite of how secular wisdom works. We're assuming that you received the light from your teacher, and now when you see it in the book, it grows in this way, or it grows in that way, or it grows through leket shechach peah, or it grows through ani anoichi Hashem, or it grows through mitzvahs tzitzis, or it goes through understanding the Esser spheres, or it grows through any inyan in Torah b'chlal. This is how Torah works: is we receive light from our Rebbe, and that light, which is the Ribbono Shel Olam, Kivyochel, grows through the words that we learn. So I'm gonna show you the place where this is in the Rambam. Okay, if you want to follow along, like I said, this is inside, so there aren't going to be any. There's no sheets for this, but this is this is a my Makoros here that you can, if you want to see this, you can look inside with me. So I've taken out an excerpt from the Mishnah Torah and a shtickle from the Or Chaim HaKodesh. Okay, so the Mishnah Torah, if you can, I don't know if you can everyone see it? If you can, you can. If you can't, it's not such a big deal. Okay, the Mishnah Torah begins. It's the beginning of the Mishnah Torah. Kol ha-mitzvahs nitnu lo Moshe b'Sinai, all the mitzvahs that were given to Moshe at Sinai b'Perusha nitnu, they were given with a Perush. Shne'emar, etna lacha es luchos ha'even v'ha-Torah v'ha-mitzvah, the Torah and the mitzvah, not the Torah and the mitzvahs, the Torah and the mitzvah. Singular. Okay, Torah is a Torah shebichsav. Mitzvah is a perusha. That's the perush. Remember, what's a yid called when he turns 13? The very definition of a yid, which we still are, a bar mitzvah. Not a bar mitzvahs, by the way, a bar mitzvah. And we're still bar mitzvah. At 13, you become a bar mitzvah, but we're all here, all of us here at bar mitzvah. Baruch Hashem. A yid is called a bar mitzvah, not a bar Torah, or not a bar mitzvahs, a bar mitzvah. But Zman la'asos a Torah al pi a mitzvah, the mitzvah zoyihi and nikres Torah Shebal Peh. This is called the Torah Shebal Peh. If it's not important, I'm just going to read it in Hebrew. If the important, I'll translate it. The ha-mitzvah, she perisha Torah, loy kosfa, it wasn't written down. El etziva bal zakeinim, the Yeshua, rather, he commanded, I'm not sure if that means Hashem or Moshe, it's Moshe, he gave it over to the Zakanim and Yeshua and to the rest of Yisrael. Okay, and Torah Shebal Peh. That's why it was called Torah Shebal Peh. Even though it wasn't written down, he taught it in his beis din to 70 zakenim. Those three were makabel for Moshe. He was the Ikka Talmud. Yeshua learned from Moshe al Peh. The Zakeinim Rabbim kiblu mi Yeshua. Lots of Zakeinim were makabel from Yeshua. V'kibul Eli min Zakeinim Pinchas. Now Eli, now he starts talking about the transmission. If anyone's familiar with Mishnah Torah, the Rambam spends the first few pages going through the entire transmission of Torah down to him. Okay, but what we're going to say here is very important. This little bit now. The kibul Eli min Zakeinim Pinchas. Okay, Eli received from Pinchas, and who was Eli the Rebbe of? Shmuel kibul ma'Eli, who beis dino. Shmuel, yeah, my namesake. He was makabel from Eli Kohen, who beis dino, and from his beis din. But David kibul Shmuel beis dino. Shmuel was the Rebbe of David and his beis din. Now this person coming up is a very interesting character. The Achia HaSheloini. Achia HaSheloini, now the Rambam doesn't just say the who kibul medavid who beis dinoi, he adds in a few extra words. Listen to these words. The Achia HaSheloini, miyotze Mitzrayim higher. He was of the Yotze Mitzrayim, he came out of Israel higher. The Levi, he was also a Levi. V'shamam Moshe, he heard from Moshe. V'haya katan b'mei Moshe, he was a katan in the days of Moshe. And then he continues as the template, so to speak. So he adds in, the Rambam adds in these few very interesting facts. And it comes out that Achia Shaloni, he was of the ones who came out of Egypt. I don't know if people know about him in Malachim, that he was the Navi at the time of Yerovam, when Yerovam and Rehoboam split off, and Malchus, there's David and Malchus, when from Shlomo it broke off into Yisrael and into Yehuda, and Achia Shaloni was the Navi at the time who was involved in that whole Maisa. So he was of the Yotzim Mitzrayim, and he also saw the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. That means he ended up being, I worked out one time, I think it was like minimum 600 years old. And some sources say it could have been up to like 1,000 years old. He had Mamas Arichas Yamim, yeah? In fact, he was the only, you know, the Piyat Dayenu that we sing at the Seder table. Yeah, it starts by Yotzim Mitzrayim, and it ends at the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. That's the whole shlav of Geula, leaving Mitzrayim and then the seeing of the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. There was one Yid who saw the entire thing. That was Achia Shaloni, because he lived for like 600, 700, 800, 900,000 years, who knows? But he was the one person who was of the Yotzim Mitzrayim, as the Rambam says, and as I'm adding in here, he was, which it says in the Nach, that he was by the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. So he experienced the entire Dayenu Piyut. He was the only person to have gone through that whole thing. Anyone knows what's Choshev? What's the thing that's Choshev about Achia Shaloni in regards to Chassidus?
That he learned with the Baal Shem Tov.
He was the Baal Shem Tov's Rebbe, according to legend. But really, that's like Makubal. Ask anybody who knows anything about Chassidus. Just say to them, by the way, who was the Baal Shem Tov's Rebbe? They'll say Achia Shaloni. Okay, they lived 2,600 years apart from each other, but we can deal with that kind of thing as Jews. Yeah. So his Rebbe was Achia Shaloni. So we'll get there in a bit, B'ezrat Hashem. So now the Mishnah Torah goes on. With Zakenim Rabbim Kiblu Yeshua. Oh, sorry, we said that. Rabbeinu Kodesh Kibur HaMishnah. Rabbeinu Kodesh was Mechaber the Mishnah. Umiyomaz Moshe v'ad Rabbeinu Kodesh, and from the days of Moshe until the days of Rabbeinu Kodesh, who was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, they never made a chibur that they taught in public of the Torah Sheba'al Peh. This is very important. In every generation, Rosh Beis Din or Navi, but Sheyihye Bo'isador, the Rosh Beis Din or the Navi of that door, Koisev la'atzmoi Zikron, V'shmuos sheshamam Rabboisav, v'hu melamed al pi berabim. This is the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Listen. Koisev la'atzmoi zichron. He wrote for himself a remembrance, a reminder, b'shmuos sheshamam Rabboisav, from what he heard from his Rabbonim. And he taught that in public. Okay? And you can read the rest yourself. But the Shoresh, Rabbeinu Kodesh did the same thing. What does that mean? That means that the Torah Sheba'al Peh, well, let's flip to the next source on the next page if you want to look. Listen to what the Or Chaim says on the Pasuk in Shemos. V'ate daber el b'nei Yisrael leimor, ach esh shabsoisai tishmeru, ki oisi beineichem l'doroseichem l'das ki ani Hashem Makadshechem, that I was Makadish them. I'll translate it. But don't think to ask a Tain on Hashem. It's a bigger richas. I just cut you out a small part. It's a bigger richas. But he's basically saying that there has to be the Torah Sheba'al Peh here, which explains what it means to be Shomer Shabbos. It says just my Shabbos and Tishmeru, and And you're like, well, what does that mean? Yeah. So he says, well, it's all in the Torah Shabbat, it's Torah Shabbat Peh, you have to learn what it means. So he says, don't ask a question on Hashem. That he hid from us his chokhmah, and he didn't explain to us everything bichsav in the Torah bichsav. Don't have a time on Hashem. Why? That the tshuva is in front of your eyes. You can't write it down. You can't write the Torah Shabbat Peh down. Again, you can look at this, you can finish it off yourself. But that's the important part. You can't write the Torah Shabbat Peh down. And that makes a lot of sense. Why? Because we can talk about this in many ways. The Torah doesn't talk on relative terms. Yeah, the Torah is absolute. So we have Pardes. Everyone knows we have Pardes. Yeah, Pshat, Remez, Drush, Nisim. Okay, Soid. Soid means secret. Why is Kabbalah called secret? Once I know it, it's not a secret.
Not everybody can know it.
What do you mean not everyone can know it?
Not everybody can know it.
Well, then everything that not every. What do you mean can that means they just need to learn it?
Yes.
Well, then I mean that's the same with everything. Then what wouldn't you call like high level physics a secret? Or you could call Hilchos Nida also a secret. You need to learn it. You don't know. I don't know it. You know, my idea of Hilchos Nida is a fraction. So what it's really talking about, and I've experienced this. You have to take my word for it unless you have experienced yourself with this, is that unless something happens that you can't explain, it's got nothing to do with you. Yeah, the Kabbalah is just like a waste of time. Literally, you can read the same words, and if Hashem doesn't choose you to have some kind of experience of it, you don't. It's intrinsically a secret. You can't give it over to somebody unless Hashem decided that he's ready to experience this, to taste this. It itself is a secret. So now when I say that something's hidden, yeah. So like I'm good. I can hide my. Here's my pen, and now I'll hide it behind my mouse. Yeah. You can't say that my pen is hidden. It's concealed from your view, but the pen itself isn't hidden. It's just there's something obstructing your view of my pen. But the pen itself isn't hidden. For example, to me, I can see my pen I can see my pen clearly. So my pen is revealed. So when the Torah calls something secret, when the Torah calls something, it's not a relative term. It's describing what it really is. Torah Shabbat Peh is exactly that. It's Torah Shabbat Peh. It can't be written down. All the Rabbonim did, all Rabbi Yehuda Nasi did when he wrote it down, so to speak, he didn't write it down. He wrote down a way that you can remember what your Rebbe said to you to pull out, because that's the Torah Shabbat Peh. The Torah Shabbat Peh is the Or that lives inside every Yid, and it can only live inside a Yid. It can't live inside anyone else. That's the difference one of the difference between the Yid and all the other nations is the Torah Shabbat Peh. All the other nations have got Torah Shabbat. Everyone's got Torah Shabbat. But only the Yidden have Torah Shabbat Peh. Only the Yidden are shaykh to Torah Shabbat Peh. So you can open up the art scroll Schottenstein and you can read it forever and ever. And if you're not a Yid, you won't be able to, you won't be Zocher to Torah Shabbat Peh. And even if you are a Yid, it's still a Shaila. Now this is where we're going with this. Everyone knows what's happened with Chabad in this generation, with Lubavitch. Okay. By the way, I'm very much not Lubavitch. I'm very much a Chabad Chassid, but I have no connection to Lubavitch. I was just in a foreign country a few weeks ago, and I went to the Chabad house there. And I've never really seen this properly, but it was a fully pledged Mashiachist Chabad house. And it made me feel sick, physically sick. It was terrible. It was a terrible Chilul Hashem. And it was also in so many ways that I could think of. So many ways. Now, what I'm doing here, I don't want to criticize any Yidden, although that was truly wrong the way I understand Torah, how they were there. But what I'm trying to do is separate the Tanya from Lubavitch, because it's not the same thing, Bichlal. Now, I've explained this to a lot of people. I'm going to explain again. Now, Lubavitch in this generation has become almost like another religion. Like Yoel made a joke when we were at Shalshidus. Remember that joke? That was really funny. When they did some kind of Lubavitch custom, and one of Yoel's children didn't understand, and Yoel said, look, this is what is it? This is a Lubavitch thing. It's almost like Judaism. It's like, it was very funny. Anyway, Lubavitch has basically become its own insulated thing. Yeah. Now, that's obviously not a good thing, because we say Al Tifrosh min hatzibur. And the frum world has created, there's been created a very obvious divide between Lubavitch and the rest of the Olam HaCharedi, the rest of the frum world. Now, like I said, that appears to be a bad thing. Now, we'll get back to that in a second. The question with the Torah Sheba'al Peh is, if somebody about Tshuva, when he comes back to Torah, the first question he always asks is, look, I believe in the Torah Shebechsav. Yeah, I've done the discovery seminar and I know that all the codes and I know it's true and this and that. Yeah, but I don't believe in the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Everyone says that. And then you have to know but it says you do it like this and Torah Osai and v'chulei v'chulei, yeah? But once you've learned a little bit of Torah and you realize that you can't do one mitzvah, not one mitzvah from the Torah Shebechsav, you don't even know what a chazir is from the Torah Shebechsav, you realize the question becomes now, why do I need a Torah Shebechsav? Everything's in the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Every single thing, every story with all the midrashim and all the embellishments and all the nuances and details and all the halachas and all the Kabbalah and everything's in the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Why do we need a Torah Shebechsav? It's a good question, though. So the Pashat Pshat is that without the Torah Shebechsav, the Torah Sheba'al Peh would just be something completely different within a generation or two. Without a document, a written document that is mamash meduyak, yeah, which can be referenced back and forward to the oral tradition, the oral tradition would just like Chinese whispers. Chinese whispers within 10 people in the same room, you're saying something completely different. That's what would happen if there's only a Torah Sheba'al Peh. So what's the point of the Torah Shebechsav in the Bechina we're talking about here is that it meant that the Torah Sheba'al Peh was preserved. It was the thing that allowed the Torah Sheba'al Peh to stay MET. Everyone's with me? Now they call the Tanya is Heilige Sefer. They call it the Torah Shebechsav of Chassidus. And that's, people think because it's got everything in here. But the real truth behind that statement is called the Torah Shebechsav of Chassidus is because it got handed down with the Torah Sheba'al Peh. And the fact that Chabad remained so insular preserved that Torah Sheba'al Peh. And I don't know, I'm sure it does exist other places, but I personally don't know of any other, like I said, I'm sure there is, but I don't know personally firsthand of any other strains where the Masorah got preserved so authentically because of two unique things about Tanya and Lubavitch. Is number one, Lubavitch became a very insular society, and number two, the Alter Rebbe wrote the Tanya, which was done, as we're going to see, he wrote it in the same way. We'll read it, we won't get to it today, but next week we'll look at it. B'ezrat Hashem. He writes the reason why he wrote it was to preserve the teachings as an ois. He wrote the Torah. This is the Torah Shebechsav of Chassidus because it preserved the Torah Sheba'al Peh, which is the ore of the Torah. It preserved it in the most authentic way possible. So now I learned from Rav Manis Friedman. Rav Manis Friedman is in possession of the Torah Sheba'al Peh of the Tanya, and I would put my life on that. Rav Manis learned under Rav Yoel Kahn. Yeah, he also learned under the Lubavitcher Rebbe as well, but they all overlapped a little bit as well, but I'm just gonna read from, I'm gonna say from Talmud to Rebbe. So I learned from Rav Manis Friedman. Rav Manis Friedman was a Talmud Muvak of Rav Yoel Kahn and of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Rav Yoel was a Talmud of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was a Talmud of the Rayatz, yeah, the Rashab, the Maharash, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Mittler Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe was a Talmud of the Magen HaMezrich. The Magen HaMezrich was a Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov. Who is the Baal Shem Tov a Talmud of? Of Achia Shloini. Achia Shloini heard the words from Moshe Rabbeinu, B'chvoid of Atzmoi, who heard Mapir Gavura. That's the scene. I want to set that scene up. We're clear of what we're doing right now. So we're links in a chain. That is what we are. And the Tanya, the schus that we have, that there's such a safe in this world as Tanya, that the Alter Rebbe in his godless, utter divine godless, had the idea, or however it worked out, it's all b'hashgacha anyway, that he would take the ore that he was makabel by. When you think about the Alter Rebbe, it's just 3 steps back to Moshe. The Magid, Baal Shem Tov, Achia, who was already touching Moshe. That was where the Rebbe was. So it's no surprise that this sefer is just mind-blowingly godly. And then there was the transmission down that got preserved by this crazy insular society, L'Tov L'Ra, and it's filtered down now and down and down and down. So how does it work? So
For sure.
Yeah.
Was there no one between Achia Shaloni and the Alter Rebbe who received this Masorah?
Not the Alter Rebbe, between the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov was the
Sorry, that's what I meant. Was there no one between them?
No, except for like 2,600 years. Go and figure. But that's we're Jewish, like I said, we can cope with that kind of thing. But that's how the legend goes, okay? And it's really a makubal legend. It says that Achia learned with the Baal Shem Tov for 10 years exactly, from the word Bereshis to the word Yisrael. And when they got to the word Yisrael, Achia said to the Baal Shem Tov, okay, it's time for you to go reveal yourself. And then the Baal Shem Tov became the Baal Shem Tov. So he had a 10-year hachana with Achia Shaloni, and that's Torah. And that's why it's called Torah Mashiach and Torah Geula. Why? Because Achia Shaloni was the most Geula Yid there has ever been. He was mamash kula Geula. He was a kid when he came out of Mitzrayim, and he saw the Binyan Beis Hamikdash 400, 500, 600, 1,000 years. He saw the whole thing mamash. That and the Baal Shem Tov was, that's the Torah that's going to herald the Mashiach, that's going to bring in the Mashiach. So we're gonna just explain quite a deep idea now, and then next week B'ezrat Hashem will open the Sefer. How does it work? Language and letters and words and all that stuff. What does it mean Torah Sheba'al Peh? So when I say I love you, there's a certain kavanah, yeah, that I'm giving to you through those words. Now those words they basically, the words become kind of irrelevant, because I could say I love you, or ani ohev otcha, or if I knew any other languages, I would be able to say them as well. Yeah, but I could basically say I love you in any language. So the words themselves are actually basically irrelevant. The letters make up the words. The words contain the meaning. That's relevant. But now we're going to go a step deeper. is that I say I love you. That's a sentiment, which is really me. I'm telling you about my love for you. I've got loads of things going on inside me. One of those things is my love for you. So when I say I love you, so to speak, I'm packaging up that little part of me called my love for you. I'm putting it into these 8 letters in the serif that they're in, and I'm passing it through the air into your ears, and it unzips in your mind, and now you are tasting a bit of me. You're experiencing a bit of me. The Torah works on that level, but the Torah works on a deeper level also, on many deeper levels, but just for us to understand this. The letters are combined to create words, yeah? The words hold meaning. And now the meaning is the person, so to speak. But now where we're going with what we're going to be doing now, the limud that we're doing now, is there's the letters that form the words, that create concepts. And within the concept is hidden the Rebbeinu Shalom. They're his ideas. That's what we're learning. And this is why these ideas, you're going to see, some of these ideas are going to bend your mind like, oh, wow, that your head's going to be hurting by the end of the year, as I think some of the people who are sitting here can testify to, yeah? Anyone raise your hand if you agree in that statement that I just made, that some of the ideas we're going to learn are going to like bend your head to the point where it's going to hurt. But it's Givaldi. So we're gonna invest time and energy into getting concepts clear, concepts very clear, and within the concepts are hidden the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's the awe. That's why it doesn't matter if your Rebbe just speaks to you words and you're not understanding. That's why you're not Yotzi by most opinions when you just read Torah Sheba'al Peh, because you need to understand, because it's in the concepts where the Rebbeinu Shalom is. So what we're going to be doing, and maybe we will open the Sefer now for a few, just so we can start, because you're going to see how he says exactly this in the first few words. What we're going to be doing basically through this Sefer is accessing the mind of Rav Manis Friedman, that contains the mind of Rav Yoel, that contains the mind of the Rebbe, which contains the mind of the Rayatz, the Rashab, the Marash, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Mittler Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, the Magid, the Baal Shem Tov, Achia, Moshe, the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what we're trying to do over here. Okay. So let's start from we're going to start from the Hakdama, which is page 6. Okay. They actually start from the Shabla. I will just read the first line of the Shabla, which basically says that this Sefer is based on a pasuk from Devarim, which says, Ki korov elecha davar ma'od, v'ficha levavacha la'asoisoi. That this thing is very close to you, in your mouth, in your heart, to do it. And he says that the whole parish, the whole Tanya is a parish on this one pasuk, that this thing is very close to you. And we'll hopefully learn that. So the Hakdamas on Malaket, page 6. We're here, guys. Ashluch leklalas anshe shleimenu, yirachem tzreinu v'yishmereim. That this is a letter that was sent to all of the Anshe Shlomeinu, meaning the people of his community. He sent it out to everyone. Aleichem ishin ekra. I'm going to call to you, people. He quotes a bunch. That's from Mishnah. He quotes a bunch of psukim here. Shemoyle roid feit sedek mavakshe Hashem. This is a prerequisite for this year. If you're not of the roid feit sedek mavakshe Hashem, yeah, try and work that out for next year. You have to be that. V'yishma aleichem elokim, that if you're in the bechina of roid feit tzedek and vakshe Hashem, Hashem's going to hear you. Lemigdol ve'ad katan. Doesn't matter if you're big or small. All of those are from different psukim. Kol anash v'neseinu v'smuchos shela v'smuchos shela, that all of the people of our community and the communities nearby, Isha Makoim Yavol Hashem, he should come to Shalom, V'chaim ad Oilam, and he should come to eternal life. Netzach Selav Awed, Amen Ken Yutzu. He should be well. V'nimidra Zois ki Magla B'pumi da Anshi B'chol Anash Loima. It's a saying by all of us. We're regiling our mouths to say this, and this is the saying. And listen, think about everything that we've just said until here, because he says it very clearly here. Ki eina doime shmias divrei Musa from Lashon Masorah, that it's not similar. Hearing divrei Musa l're'iyah v'kriyah b'sfarim, from seeing it and reading it in Sfarim, not similar. I think let's do another line.
That's a very interesting. It's a very interesting way to sell himself. He's like on this book.
Exactly. He starts the book by saying, "We all know that hearing words from the mouth of your Rebbe is worth much more than seeing them and reading them." But that's what we have to know, because this book, we'll finish it, but this book is a completely closed book, and I'll explain. I've sat through countless shirim from Rabbonim on this sefer, and I'm not going to say the names of the Rabbonim, but two Rabbonim in particular, who from my understanding, are tzaddikim and genuine Talmidei Chachomim, a big Hasidic gadol that everyone here knows, mamash, a English-speaking Hasidic Talmud Chacham, Emes Dika Talmud Chacham and Tzaddik that everybody knows here, and an Emes Dika Litvisha Talmud Chacham and Tzaddik that, again, probably most people also know him. I'm not going to mention their names. I sat in on shirim from them in the Tanya, and those shirim were probably worth something like 5 to 10% of what it would be worth hearing it from a Pashta Lubavitcher Chassid. That's the difference between having the Masorah and not having the Masorah. And that's what the Rebbe is going to say here, that reading the words is not what it's about. It's about receiving the Masorah from your Rebbe, who heard it from his Rebbe, v'chulei, back to Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. Anyone any questions? That was us just getting on. When I was in LA last time, I went to what's it called? Six Flags. I only got to go on a couple of rides because it was Erev Shabbos. And it was so big. The lines were so big. But what we just did was we just put on that, you know, when the thing like comes click, 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 click down, and you're like this. That's what we just spent 45 minutes doing. So next week the guy will go and we'll fly off. Zrat Hashem. Okay, any questions? It's fine if there are.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So basically, if you don't show up next week, it means you're not someone who's Mavakish Emes or all those other things. So you better be here next week. Otherwise, we know who you are.
Zrat Hashem. Okay, Zay Gazim Chavrei.
Thank you, Rebbe.